You're listening to the Bathtub Refinishing Podcast. Powered by Bathtub Guys Refinishing. We discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to business owners and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's yours truly, as always. I just wanted to get on here and tell you guys about my week, what we did this week. Very, very cool stuff. So we're going to get into a little bit of a story time. Stay tuned for that, where we're going to talk about something that happened this week at a hotel where the fire department was called. It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be fun for everybody, boys and girls, to listen to that story. But I want to tell you guys about my week this week. We had somebody come for training for Tubcast, which was super, super cool. Shout out to Joel and Moshe from Advanced Reglazing. I almost dawned on the name. There's a lot of people with like amazing reglazing and amazing refinishing, and I know a bunch of people from these companies, so I'm making sure I didn't get them messed up. But shout out to you for coming through. They're over there in the tri-state area. They service New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, I believe. And one of the biggest operations that I've heard of with bathtub reglazing, they have about 23 technicians. And I think with subs, with part-timers, they get up there to 25 at their capacity. So super, super cool to meet them. They were very, very pleasant. They brought their trainer, who is their lead technician who trains a lot of their guys, came through, saw everything what Tubcast was about. The part that was really exciting for me was actually having a formal training. A lot of the times, because a lot of with this industry, and I've talked about it before, but there's a lot of lack of professionalism and I guess structure when you're doing things like this. We all have an idea of what a training should be like and how you simulate real world. But it was beautifully set up because they reached out to me weeks ago. I was able to plan the schedule accordingly. And so we got them to be able to see Tubcast work on a very different, on a varying amount of jobs, commercial, residential, property management, but also the types of jobs, right? Tubs, tub and tiles, garden tubs, jacuzzi tubs, full bath surrounds, where it's the 1970s tile that is all over the place. They got to see Tubcast working in all those different settings. And then on top of that, at the end, their tech, Donald, was able to do a tub by himself on his very, very first attempt of doing it by himself. And it came out perfect. It came out beautiful. They were actually very surprised with how well the coating comes out. I mean, these are guys who they spray right now, and they spray their coatings on right now. And they have 20 plus technicians doing this. So they know how to spray, and they know what spray looks like. And when they saw how to apply this the right way with somebody who does it every day, one of my best guys, Santiago, who showed them, they saw that the rumors are true, guys. It looks just like spray if you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it looks the same. And so I've beat that dead horse a billion times, but guys, it looks the same. End of the day, though, the most important thing is they came, they saw us do jobs, they saw us get paid to do those jobs. They did jobs in hotels. They saw the hotel was happy with the work we were doing, and they themselves were happy with the work they're doing, coming from a company that sprays more tubs in a month than probably I do in 2 months. So they have quite an output. And if they're happy, I'm happy. So they're going to join the family here, the Tubcast family, and kind of lock it in and transition their operations to this. And this is going to allow them to grow and scale and all the beautiful things that I always talk about for you guys out there. But shout out to them, Advanced Reglazing, Joel and Moshe for giving us the opportunity to show you what Tubcast is all about, and coming through to Bathtub Guys and seeing our operations. That was really, really cool. And yeah, man, we had quite a bit of work going on this week. We have, one of the things that's interesting, and I've talked about this briefly, and I think that it kind of encapsulates everything what this podcast is going to be about. One of the things that's interesting is when you build relationships with people that are in this business and they move up, and then eventually you get to the point where they're in a very, very big, prestigious property that has kind of unlimited budgets, and they know you and they like you and they like how you work and they need the service done. And then they start kind of, I've touched on it briefly before, but instead of looking for every reason instead of waiting for there to be a reason to call you out, they start looking for, they start finding excuses to call you. And shout out to one of our best properties. I'm not going to name names, but man, there's a property that we service that has just been like amazing. They give us tons of work, and my man Danny over there, he is super, super cool. I've known him from way back in the day where he worked at a couple Diamond Resorts hotels that I met him at. And now at his new resort, it's like they call us for things so often. And then I just got a call from him today about, us refinishing shower pans, because we've been doing a lot of inlay work over there, doing some shower pan work this week. And he was like, damn, next to the shower pans, because the garden tub is like right next to it. He's like, now the garden tub looks like yellow in comparison because the shower pans are so white. He's like, can we just make it so that when you guys come, we do both? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, yeah, because I don't want it to look that. I was like, do you want it to always be like that? Do you want us to always do both if they haven't been done? He's like, yeah, please. And I was like, geez, I was even surprised by it. But, he wants the aesthetic to match. It's a nice place, freshly renovated. It has a ton of rooms. This property has like 3,000 units. It is huge. And even though it is like, I know a lot of people out there are trying to chase like projects because they want that reoccurring work, but more so than anything, I think what really makes or breaks a business, especially in like a tourist hub, like Orlando, California, I would even say probably New York, or like near like the beach, maybe like Virginia Beach probably has some beautiful stuff like that too. But anything like that is underrated is the timeshare market. This is like this place that I'm referencing is a timeshare and hotel. But like those places, they have big budgets, and what they do is, rather than do projects, they do a lot of preventive maintenance because they have a lot of buildings with different owners, and it's like a really good reoccurring stream of work, and they usually have a ton of volume. A lot of these timeshare places have a ton of buildings and a ton of units. So some of our best clients historically have been these kinds of setups, whether it be apartments, high-end apartments, or like I said here, like timeshare hotels. Hilton Grand Vacations was a beautiful, amazing client of ours for years. They were amazing to work with, really, really good, and we still do some stuff with them. But this company in particular, man, like, they have a massive resort and they really care about it, and it's always well maintained, and they invest in it to upkeep it. And I think in a lot of ways it's better than a project, because a project, you got to tie your schedule down for a couple weeks. You're waiting for deposits and you're waiting for payouts. A lot of these big companies, they need service done constantly, so they find ways to expedite pay. This company in particular in-houses their accounting, so it's amazing. They pay like in 15 days, and they give you a lot of volume when there's the highs and lows, but that allows you to kind of be fluid and do some other projects, whether it be commercial or residential, and then also have this like company that's constantly feeding you work. What it does for us is that it actually allows us to round the schedule out a lot. Not to say it's not completely full, but like sometimes we have a decent sized job that is more than enough to pay the technician for the day and make a profit. But that other job that this place gives us adds just another, it's like just enough work that we can they call in 3 or 4 tubs or a couple tub and tiles, and we can like be like, all right, well, one goes here, one goes there, one goes to that guy, and then suddenly you're just quadrupling the output for the day without killing the guys. They've worked there plenty of times, they know what to expect. Everything's in really, really good condition, it's always clean. So it's awesome. And so what I want to talk to you guys about with that, and what the whole point of this whole thing was to say, sometimes, right, the client that you want, that you think you want, sometimes it shows itself in different ways. Whereas, like, I am not crazy about doing multifamily that much. I want to do like not even mid. I want to do high end multifamily only, just to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that come with dealing with like lower end properties. And I do a lot of hotel work, and I love doing hotels. I love doing hotel projects. It's great. It's consistent work, and you block your schedule for a couple of weeks and all that stuff. But the middle ground for me is like this, where it's like there's individual owners and associations that own these places, but they're constantly putting out work, and it's a constant reoccurring revenue stream, and it is strong output. So underrated market to serve, I think, is that version of commercial work where it's like timeshares and stuff like that. If you guys don't do a ton of them, I just definitely recommend looking into doing them, doing more of them. Look for people in your area that have, the timeshare companies in your area. Hilton Grand Vacations is a really, really good one. And I'm sure you'll get work. Westgate's another really big one. They have a ton of properties, and these places do a lot of preventive maintenance work. And so it's like, it's pretty cool, man. You get a lot of reoccurring work from them, and a lot of the time they have pretty like reasonable budgets too. And that's another thing that I, in the commercial world, is kind of like, I know I talk a lot about what my opinions are on getting people to pay more money for the service and all that, and I always think, and truthfully, I believe that you can get anybody to pay more, right? But it does take like time and effort, and you actively seeking out that extra and putting in a lot of ground game. Um, a lot of the times these companies just have bigger budgets. They have a bigger budget than a regular hotel would have, and they have a bigger budget than like a apartment complex would have. And so like this property pays like full price. They pay our full rates, and they give us volume, and it's like the best of both worlds. And it is so refreshing to work like that too, because you don't have to rush through it. You can send the adequate amount of labor, and obviously not corners with material, which I would never do. But everybody is going in a good mood. You don't have to overwork the guys to make money. It is just a breath of fresh air. And that place is giving us a lot of work. We did a lot of inlays for them in the last couple of weeks. And when we do inlays, you know, they're doing like the shower floors, and they started doing tubs, and then their old buildings have like regular ceramic tile with porcelain tubs, and they've never been done before for the majority, but they're updating them, and it's fantastic. A couple weeks ago, they actually gave us like 15 or 20 showers because they were replacing the glass doors with rods, and they just wanted the screw holes patched, and they were just like, just refinish the whole thing. We want them white too. And I was like, thanks. But on to the next thing. So that all happened. And something I want to touch on now that we got that out of the way is that partnerships with Bathtub Guys is back full force. So if you guys, I've been getting a lot of people asking and trying to get clarification of what exactly is going on. Like, you guys selling paint? Are you guys doing this, doing that? Yes, and yes. But none of this is going to be forever. I want you guys to be like, just understand, we are trying to make a move that is not only going to benefit us to sell more paint, but benefit people to the best of our ability. There are some people who are very interested in buying paint, but they don't have the operational know-how, the brand presence for it to be worth it. So with some of those people, we're in talks to turn them into locations that they will own, similar to a franchise, but you're basically licensing the name. You have your own company, and in return, there is a small, fee paid to us for you using our name and presence and all of that. That is something that is still on the table, and it is back in full force. Our next set of expansions that we're eyeing, and if you guys are interested in this and all the listeners, let me know if you think your area would be a good market and you wanted to partner. But we're looking for Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So that would kind of take care of the rest of Florida where we really want to focus on. Potentially south of Tampa, Sarasota, that area. I actually have a gentleman who offered to pay for the training and kind of get his area over there near that area. So, but it's an early talk. So, Sarasota, Venice, all of that stuff on the west coast side of Florida is still pretty much open season. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, I think that is a very, very good area, and there's a lot of potential out there. And then as far as Florida goes, that's pretty much all we're looking for there. Atlanta is, unless my boy Ruben Perez does not want to do it, it would be open. But we are in talks to have him do Atlanta, especially that part of Georgia, but potentially some other parts of Georgia that we're not servicing or across state lines. The Carolinas, I think it would make more sense to be like in the Charleston area of South Carolina. And yeah, I mean, those are some areas we're targeting. Up north, we're going to open Massachusetts. I already have somebody lined up for that. We have Massachusetts, like it's been kind of on and off. So it does exist, but I need someone more consistent out there. And this person that we have over there does not own the location. This one's kind of owned by us, but we're going to find someone to own and operate it over there. And then we are pretty much going to have the people that we train this week. The plan is to have them lock down New York if they commit to the order that they're talking about. So we'll see about that. Going past all that, though, I am interested in the LA region of California, so potentially some San Francisco or something like that. Those are places that I really do think that there's potential for, and the implication for Tubcast out there just makes a lot of sense. So we'll leave that. Just letting you guys know, Bathtub guys, if you guys are interested in a location, do let me know. We can get something working, and yeah, I'll show you guys all the strategies that we've implemented to maximize, when you're talking to clients, maximize revenue. Make sure you guys are making good money. Make sure that you guys are running it how I would run it, and grow your business and grow your Bathtub Guys location to be like ours, or bigger or better. And then super last thing, story time real quick. So, guys, you guys know I've talked about the benefits a bajillion times about Tubcast, about how it's odorless and easy to apply and all of that stuff. So we had our really good hotel client that I was mentioning before. I got a call like around 9:00 at night saying, "Hey, man, we just had of the fire department here because of an odor. Like it was horrible, and that's what's being reported to me anyway. And we don't really know what to do. We need to halt work and all this." And I'm like, what smell? I'm like, the stuff is odorless. It's BOC exempt, all of this stuff. So I was like, look, here's what I want to do. I want to go over there like right now because this just happened. They called me like around 9. I'm there at 9:15 because I live close to this place. I drive over there. And then obviously when I get there, of course, it magically goes away. This odor that had apparently been lingering for over 4.5 hours because my guys wrapped up around 5, magically disappeared when I got there. So I'm like, okay, something's kind of weird. This doesn't make any sense. So I go into the room and I kind of smell like something, but it's like, to me, it's like this product, it doesn't smell in that, like, it smells like just wet paint, like interior paint, like water-based, very, very, very mild, where somebody wouldn't even really notice that that's what it is. So I was like, is this the smell they were talking about? And the maintenance guy's like, yeah, but it was way worse before. It smelled crazy. I was like, I don't know. So I'm going through the motions. I'm like, what could it possibly be? I know that sometimes, and keep in mind with these coatings, if you're up north, if you're in the cold, from everything that I understand, it does take longer to cure when it's cold. So try to make sure that you have the home or the apartment or unit or whatever to like at least 70 to 72 degrees. That's like ideal. If you did like 68, it'll be fine. You just don't want to go like too cold because it will delay the curing process. So that's what I thought it might have been. But I couldn't wrap my head around that was the smell that they're smelling, the epoxy smell that is like super mild, like I said. So I'm just like, I don't know what it could be. I'm talking to the director of engineering, my friend over there, which is funny enough, his name's Danny too. And I'm like trying to wrap my head around, and I'm thinking about like, what could have possibly been? We've done tons and tons of units. I thought maybe someone was like on crackhead mode and like blowing stuff down the vent or something crazy. I don't know. Because it just didn't make sense. Like they said it was leaking into the hallways, and I'm like, the hallways. When I get there, nothing smells. When I go into the foyer before you get into the room, nothing. When I get into the room, nothing. When I go to the bathroom, even nothing. I had to get a foot away to even kind of smell anything. So it turns out that we did an inlay that day. And I didn't think anything of it. The inlay adhesive is like marine grade adhesive. And by the way, shout out to New Bath. The inlays are fucking amazing. We use a ton of them. This is not in any way saying anything negative about them, but it does have an odor, and that's fine. Like, this is refinishing work, and it's kind of expected, although our whole thing is kind of low odor. But like, if that's the only thing that smells in a very, very specific case, it's not that big of a deal. But they were saying that like, oh, maybe it was the adhesive from the inlay. And I was like, well, we did do an inlay there. And I know the adhesive smells, but the stuff dries like in 10 minutes. I'm like, why would it smell up the entire hallway? I talked to the technician. He doesn't really know why. And from what I understand, what it probably was one of two things. And I haven't been able to confront my technician about it and really ask him. I honestly don't think it's really worth like taking him out the side and like talking to him about this. I will talk to him about it whenever I see him, but it's either that he left his cart with the inlay adhesive not completely like the cap not completely sealed, or that he put the glue when he put the glue in the bucket to mix it together, that because it was all like layered on top of each other, right, that it didn't dry as fast as it dries like securing an inlay, and that the smell was like lingering all over the place. And because he had it there in the hallway or in the foyer before, right? So you open the door and then there's two doors. There's an A and a C room, or A and a B room, whatever it is. If he had it in that little kind of holding area, then when people walk past the hallway, they're going to smell the adhesive. So my whole thing is, if you turn in the key like at 5-ish, that he should have been done already. But maybe the person smelled it before. And then, you know how some people are like kind of hypochondriacs, or maybe legitimately this lady has like some sort of condition where she's super, super, super sensitive to things like that. That could also be something, right? But living in Orlando, working in the hospitality renovation world, like I know, because I've talked to plenty of engineers and maintenance guys, is that a lot of people come here kind of looking for a check, or kind of looking for free theme park tickets, or looking at how they can get something for free, because we are super, super, super hospitality driven down here. They will wipe your ass and fucking like they go like a crazy extra mile in Florida, in Orlando specifically, because Disney, Universal, so be it. So maybe she caught a whiff of something and went to her room and started putting on a show. That's a very real possibility. It's also a very real possibility that she's hypersensitive, smelled something, and it actually had an effect on her. But, they were talking about halting production and not doing rooms, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, dude, this is one of my best accounts, and they pay full price, and they pay fast. So I had to get on the phone and kind of do a little damage control. And just for you guys out there, like, how do you handle these situations, right? Well, this is how I handled it and how we kind of overcame it. And then we went right back to standard operating procedure the next day. Number one is that I went out of my way to make sure that I addressed the issue. I did not wait until the next day or next week or whatever. I went and I confronted the issue head on. What does that communicate to a property? It communicates that you're not fucking around. You're going to go out and actually make sure that nothing is crazy. Number two is that when I went there, I didn't lie that I didn't smell anything. I smelled something. I didn't think it was a huge deal, but I also said, I'm not sure if I'm smelling what they were smelling. right? And so number three, though, is, and I think this is the most important, is that I actively uh, used my brain to try to figure out and rationalize this whole situation, because it's one thing for a customer, a patron at a hotel, to say that they smelled something. It's another thing when the maintenance guys and all the people who know, like, say, yes, there was something out of the ordinary, right? So I'm actively looking for the answer, pretty much, and pretty much coming back and saying, hey, this is all the stuff I think it could be, but this is where Daniel goes the extra mile. And what I think a lot of people should do if you're ever in a similar situation, even if it's urethane, but people freak out about the smell and you have issues like this, get the fire department, call on you, all that stuff. I said, here's what I'm going to do, just for everyone's sanity, so that you know that I'm not putting poison in your freaking property and I'm not killing anybody here. I'm not doing anything super crazy. I'm going to send you every single MSDS sheet for every product that we use. And I'm going to tell you exactly in what order it's used. And I went as far as sending them like shark grip from like, not like shark grip coatings, but shark grip from like, what is it? HTH or whatever, the one that makes the non-slip additive, Sherwin-Williams. I sent them that, which that stuff has obviously no VOC. I sent them, like acetone clean strip that we use. I send them that. I send them all the MSDS sheets for Tubcast, the primer, every single thing, so that they have it, our acid etch, every single thing. I told them how we use it and why, wrote out a whole thing, sent it to them. And the next morning, they're like, everything's cool. We double check with the fire department. Everything here is fine if you're using it how it's intended. We're kind of convinced it's the inlay glue, and that's probably what it was. And I was like, yeah, because we've done like 1,000 units in this place, and we've never had this issue. We've done a ton of inlays, especially recently, but this was the guys wrapping up around like 4 or 5 p.m. Somebody probably came home from a long day, smelled something. Maybe they're a little sensitive. Maybe they're just a little crazy. It could be either one of the things again. But I'm not saying that to like kind of like put down what somebody feels, right? But at the end of the day, knowing how it is here, it is a very real possibility that either one of those two things happen. And so we solved the situation. We went right back to business as usual. So we went back, and when I wanted to talk about this whole thing was, I thought it was kind of funny. They called the fire department over like an odor. They knew it wasn't a gas leak because they don't use gas at this place except for in the AC units on the top of the building. And the system that they have set up, a leak like that wouldn't be able to come down so far. This was like a 6-floor room, and this thing has like 17 stories. So if there was like a coolant leak or something, it would be smelled on the top, like the penthouse units and stuff. The thing that I thought was funny, though, is that it really boils down to this, right? We're doing all the steps, odorless product, making sure everything's VOC exempt, all the stuff that, that a lot of people can't even offer. And even then, you're never going to circumvent the crazies or the people who are the one-offs. Like I said, crazies are the people who are immunocompromised. And there's a lot of people like that. I'm not trying to lump them together, but I'm saying you're never going to fully be able to circumvent or avoid pissing someone off in a way. And that's why I brought this story up. Thought it was fun to like bring up that, like, look at us doing all these things, and we still got the fire department called on us, just like the urethane guy. Now, the beauty of it is, though, there is a true potential that, because this property is prestigious and really cares about how guest relations go, there is a very real possibility that if we would have had urethane, they would have blamed it all on that and kind of kicked us out because of the whole situation. But because we have a product and a system that's clean, when we sent the data sheets to them, the fire department and the hotel both determined that it was fine. Even the adhesive, they said that it was fine. Obviously, they're not supposed to, the guest is not supposed to smell it. So a little bit of retraining and stuff like that on my end for the guys. I'm going to make sure that they, seal the bottles up real well. I'm going to make sure that they wrap it in a garbage bag and take it out immediately after installing the inlay. But moral of the story is, you're never going to be able to please everybody. Doesn't matter what you do. You can take every single step in the book, and you're never going to be able to please every single person. And I want you guys to take that into account. That is the theme of the day. You can't please anybody. So what do? I've said this once, and I'll say it again, and I'll end it on this for this short little 30-minute podcast that I'm doing today. Work not for the 2, 3, 4% of people that you piss off, right? Work for the 95% of people that you can deliver a consistent, predictable, scalable result to. And that is how you build an empire. Nobody at all in the history of the world has perfection. It is impossible. But what is true, I think, the way I see it, my outlook on big companies and brands that transcend culture and time, is that they deliver consistency, and they do it often. And when there's an issue, they're not just reactionary. They're actually helpful in trying to come to a solution to avoid that it ever happens again. They use it as a teaching moment and make the system better for everybody going forward. And I think that in brands in particular, I can name one off the top of my head. I always bring it up, but Apple, right? Apple doesn't shoot 100% of the time. They had that bend gate thing that happened with like the iPhone 7 or something where they were just bending in people's pockets. And what did? They reinforced them with titanium to avoid it happening again. And eventually they did go back to aluminum. But when they went back to aluminum, guess what? They put steel rods around the frame of the device so it wouldn't happen again. And Apple is regarded as like the arbiter of quality in the cell phone market. But do they shoot 100% every time? No. Did they piss people off at times? Yes. But for the absolute majority of people, they deliver a quality result that is scalable and repeatable. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is enough for them to build their empire. So I'll leave you guys with that. Work for the 95%, make the 95% happy. The 5%, you could either not work for them or just brush it aside when you encounter one of them, and just know that you're never going to be able to make every single person happy, and it doesn't matter what you do. That's just a rule of life, guys. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Bathtub Refinishing Podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to keep up with the Bathtub Guys on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, or visit bathtubguys.com for more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.